First order of business is the call to order and roll call. Mary, can you please call the roll?
Here.
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 Okay. And then if everyone will please stand and join us with the Pledge of Allegiance, and then stay standing afterwards for a moment of silent reflection, please. Mr. Hunt.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with justice and liberty for all.
Thank you very much. Okay. Oh, perfect timing. Please show that Ms. Harrington is here.
Harrington? Here.
All right. Adoption of the agenda. Anybody have any questions or concerns about the agenda at this point? Otherwise, if not, I'll entertain a motion.
I move to adopt the agenda for tonight as presented.
Do I have a second?
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Mary, please call the roll.
Yes.
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 Okay. Minutes from prior meetings. Does anybody have any questions or
I have a motion.
we have a motion? Do we have a second?
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Mary, please call for the vote.
Mr. Hayes?
Yes.
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 Mr. Lavender, we'll turn it over to you for student recognition.
Yes, sir. I'm going to ask Mrs. Miller, our CTE director.
It was like the same. It was like the same time.
If you would start with your students, then
Okay. All right. President Wilkie, board members, Mr. Lavender, I'm happy to present awards this evening. I've given you 2 slides this evening because Austin told me he was not able to attend this evening, so I wanted to make sure that we all knew who he is. And he is the Student of the Month for Automotive Technology at Union. His parents are David and Holly Pratt. He's a senior. And his teacher, Christian Stewart, nominated him. And these are his words. Austin Pratt is a third-year automotive student. From day one, Austin has shown a high interest in the automotive industry. Over the last 2.5 years, he has shown a willingness to learn and grow within the automotive program and as an individual. He is never afraid to get his hands dirty and or help where needed. He shows the independence and motivation to go far in whatever he chooses to do. He will be an asset to any program or employer. So I want to say congratulations to Austin. Even though he's not here, I will be presenting his plaque to him in his classroom. And since I did one slide, I have to give one to Emily as well. So Emily Geen is the nominee for engineering at Union. Her father is Ronald Geen. She is a senior at Union, and I've seen her around just a little bit at competitions and things with skills. So John Morris is her teacher, and I'm going to read his words. I enthusiastically recommend Emily Geen for CTE Engineering Student of the Month. Emily's dedication to her studies and her active involvement in Skills USA make her an exemplary student. Emily is a high-achieving student with a strong academic record, maintaining a 3.83 GPA overall and an impressive 4.0 core CTE engineering GPA. Her leadership skills are evident as her role as president of the Skills USA Engineering section, where she has previously served as vice president. Emily has demonstrated a keen interest in electronics engineering, completing college-level coursework in both analog and digital electronics. Her contribution to NASA Ascend, the project team, has been invaluable. Emily's recent election as a Skills USA Arizona Region Officer further highlights her leadership potential and commitment to the CTE community. She is a reliable and dedicated student who consistently goes above and beyond in her academic pursuits and extracurricular activities. I wholeheartedly recommend Emily Geen for CTE Engineering Student of the Month. She is a truly exceptional student who embodies the spirit of excellence and leadership. Emily, would you please come on up?
Mr. Morris.
Mr. Morris.
Next, we'll introduce Mrs. Danzy, who will introduce us to our PACE Rotary Student of the Month. We also have from the Rotary Club, Mr. Stabley, who is also an elementary school board member. Mr. Stabley, if you want to join Mrs. Danzy up here, please.
And we are student of the month. We don't have 12th graders yet. So once we get 12th graders, we'll get there. It's coming. Good evening. Dylan, come on up. Show your shiny face. Okay. So PACE has nominated Dylan DiCarlo as our Student of the Month. Dylan was chosen based on feedback from his advisors related to his personal character, academics, and just all around good nature. I'm going to share some of the information from your advisors. Dylan has excelled in every area at PACE. He has excelled academically, socially, athletically, and in just being a friend to others. He is the personification of the kind of student our school strives to cultivate. He makes his fellow students be better students, and he makes his advisors be better advisors. We are grateful for the positive impact he has on our school. We are fortunate to have him as a student. He is only a freshman, but it gives you pause to consider where this young man is bound to go. Dylan is bright, responsible, hardworking, and everything that it takes to be a student leader. He is acing the academics and is always up for helping his peers with their work. The level of discipline and integrity he displays is far beyond his age. He is kind, empathetic, and truthful. I am 100% sure of his success in the future and wish him all of the very best for his future endeavors. And I'm so very proud to be his teacher. Way to go, Dylan. Shine bright like a diamond. From the moment the young man entered the building, it was evident that he was determined to seize every opportunity. He attended the PACE open house during his 8th grade year. As he transitioned into 9th grade, my impression of him was firmly established. In my book, Dylan is a determined young leader. He exemplifies the qualities of a model citizen and student athlete with a promising future ahead. Dylan is a proactive individual who understands that success is driven by vision and perseverance. He consistently demonstrates admirable character and advocates for his needs and aspirations, which is essential in today's world. I look forward to supporting him in any endeavor he chooses to pursue, whether personal, academic, athletics, or otherwise. He has made a significant impression on me, and I hold deep respect and admiration for his achievements at such a high level. Keep striving, Dylan, and continue to make us proud. Congratulations. He is joined by his parents. Come on up, parents.
Congratulations. It's nice to see the smiles on the faces.
neither one of our Rotary students of the month are here right now, so I thought we would wait a few minutes and see if maybe they show up later. They may, through the change in meeting, may not have realized the meeting started at 5:30 tonight. We do want to recognize somebody tonight. If Mr. Danzy could please join me up there. We have a new doctor in the house, and that's Dr. Amanda Sheeler. So Amanda, Dr. Sheeler, if you would please join us up here. Mr. Danzy also nominated her as the Employee of the Month, but we're going to ask you to come back in November for the Employee of the Month recognition because it didn't get posted into the agenda. And we want to make sure the community is aware that you're Employee of the Month as well. But we do want to congratulate you on receiving your doctorate degree. Would you mind telling the board from what school and what you received your doctorate in? I know you did your dissertation on the difference between K-12 school systems and high school systems 9-12.
Yeah, I did a quantitative analysis looking at ACT scores for juniors that went to school in the same district, K through 12, so unified school districts, versus districts like ours that are union school districts. And I found that having that vertical alignment through the 13 years versus the 9 year or the 4 years does make a big difference. And so what I've drawn from that is unification is not necessarily possible all over the state, nor the best choice for the state, but better vertical alignment communication with the different districts. So, you know, we have the 5 feeders or whatever, 5 districts coming into one. So talking to the elementary districts, all of the elementary districts, and making sure that we are aligned and that we are working towards helping our kids, our students achieve all they can. It's a doctorate in educational leadership through South College.
Mr. Danzy, is there anything you'd like to say to our new doctor?
Are we talking about Employee of the Month for next month?
Her doctorate, sir.
Her doctorate, she didn't interview me for it, so no. It doesn't surprise me that she took that on. She's really adamant about making sure that the students of Vista Grande are serviced the best way they possibly can be. Her subject is math, so math ACT falls right in line with what she's doing. So I tend to lean on her a lot to learn some things.
Yeah, Amanda's our math department chair at Vista. She also teaches our high-level classes, trigonometry, calculus, and all these other subjects I can't even pronounce, let alone.
I would throw in there, she also does our edge classes, which are our low-level students, and she also jumped in, took over Algebra 1 for the time being, so she's all over the map.
And she does our dual credit classes with Central Arizona College, a real asset to our district, and we're thrilled. So Amanda, we have a plaque here for you, or I should say doctor. Congratulations. Let's give her the.
Okay.
Nathan? This is Amanda's husband, Nathan, and their son, Theo.
All right, here we go. 1, 2, 3.
Okay, thank you.
Okay.
Mr. Wilkie, why don't we, the 2 students happen to show, we can bring them in.
Yep.
At this time, we've released our 2 student awardees and our staff awardees, and we can get started.
So we'll take a pause here for anybody who would like to leave. Go enjoy the rest of your evening. Thank you for coming and congratulations again. Well done. All right. Well, Mr. Lavender, we'll turn it over to Superintendent's report.
Yes, sir. All right, just a few things to cover tonight with our governing board. Staff is excited that Next week is fall break from October 14th to the 18th. And I did see in the weather report that we are supposed to dip under 100 degrees next Wednesday, the 16th, to 99 degrees. It's kind of
Get the coats
summer
out.
break
Get the coats
and
out.
not fall break. I want to thank all of our staff, as well as our students, for all their hard work during this first quarter. Our PLCs are off the ground and running. We are making some adjustments, as the analogy that we have described them with is we're building the plane while we're flying the plane. And so we will be making some adjustments, but our real focus right now is our guaranteed and viable curriculum to ensure that we are teaching the state standards and what standards students are being tested on. And then our 2.5 period, which is our opportunity to do intervention with students that are not meeting expectations yet, as well as enrichment of. We're excited about the 2.5 program. This is a new program this year where students are moving and going to school-wide and getting support in different subjects. I wanted to share with you some data. Currently, right now, Vista has 1,949 students. Cass Grand Union has 1,925 students. And Pace has 84 students, for a total of 3,987 students. Last year at this time, we had 3,990 students. So we're down 3 students from the previous year. Some things that I think we can celebrate is the attendance this year at Pace from the first day of school to this date. Pace has improved from 70 to 88% attendance. So students are attending at 88% of our students are attending each day. Vista's attendance has gone up from 79% to 93%, and Union's attendance has gone up from 78 to 89%. So we're seeing healthy increases in our student attendance this year as we continue to move on from our COVID years. Also, as you know, we implemented our weapon detection systems, as well as the vape detection systems in our bathroom. I can tell you from this point last year to this year, last year at this time, we'd had 124 referrals for tobacco or drug use. This year we're at 58. Last year at this time, we had 83 referrals for drugs use, and this year we're at 26. And so we're seeing some significant declines in those areas as well. All of you who came in today got an opportunity to see what our students go through on a daily basis, going through the weapon detection system. Things have been going very well. I want to applaud all 3 of our schools, Pace, Vista, and Union, for the procedures that they have set up. I've had the opportunities to go over in the mornings and help there and talk to students as they're coming through, as they hand me the laptop and they go through, then I hand it back. And so this provides another layer of protection. We've also utilized the system at our football games, as well as our homecoming dance this previous Saturday night. And so the system is working well. Also, on Thursday, we had our first random drug testing of our athletes. There were 23 students tested. We don't have all the results back yet. But these were 23 random students that were selected by the company that we're testing through. Also, we had our first task force meeting on September 24th. This is our task force to address increase in the number of our students that attend secondary school or post-secondary schools, college, our junior college, community college. Also, an increase in the number of our students that are attending some kind of trade school, whether it be a medical trade school to learn how to take blood, or a welding school, and that. Or the third is the number of students that are going into a career field that's got a livable wage. And we don't have a set number what would really constitute right now a livable wage, but it's probably about $25 an hour. to students that are being hired by our new manufacturing companies that we have here in the community and some of those. So we had about 50 people that attended this meeting. We're working on some strategies to increase the percentage of students attending college, the percentage of the students that are attending trade schools, and the percentage of students going into livable wages. In turn of focusing on all that, one of the things we know, and one of the statistics we saw is 96% of our students that take CTE programs. And when we talk about CTE programs, that's 2 years of CTE programs. Our graduation rate for students that are involved in those programs is 96%. So we know getting students involved in developing what their spark is beneficial to our students. And so again, we'll be working on strategies. We'll also be working on strategies to increase the number of students completing FAFSA forms, the student portion, doing career talks, the ASVAB test, which is a test that determines your ability and what you might be suitable to do, whether it be electronics, mathematics, more counseling and stuff like this. An aptitude test. I just remembered the word now. An aptitude test. And so recently, all of our juniors at Union and Vista had the opportunity to take the test. We want to continue to increase that. But one thing that's also vitally important when they take this test is that the student has the opportunity to sit down with the counselor and review what are the results of this test and what is this test telling us. And so we continue to work on that. Just a reminder, our next board meeting will be on Tuesday, November 12th, and we will be back at our 7 o'clock time that evening.
6 o'clock.
6:30, sorry, thank you. And we can't, normally our meeting would be on November 11th, but that is Veterans Day. And just something real sad that we've learned in the last couple of weeks. So Subasan, who is a long-term French teacher at Casa Grande Union, recently passed away. So we want to give our condolences to her family as well. And so that's my report for tonight. Mr. Danzy, do we have your student of the month come in?
Yes, sir.
So I'll ask Mr. Danzy to come forward and recognize the Vista student of the month.
Greetings, Governing Board President Wilkie, Governing Board members, Superintendent Lavner. It is my distinct pleasure to introduce one, Miss Melina Watley. I'm going to give her I will read this. I'm happy that she's here because Melina probably has one of the busiest schedules I've had the opportunity to hear, not see, because she just talks to me about all the things that she's doing. Melina Watley is the daughter of Gary Watley and granddaughter of Billy and Junius Davis. She is Vista Grande's October Rotary Student of the Month. Melina is a remarkable senior at Vista Grande High School. She has distinguished herself not only through her academic excellence, but her unwavering commitment to leadership and community service. For 2 consecutive years, she has been recognized as the voice of democracy, showcasing her eloquence and passion for civic engagement. In athletics, Melina has excelled as a 360 AZ All-Academic Girls Soccer athlete for 3 years running, earning the title of School Athlete of the Year. As captain of both the varsity soccer and track and field teams, she has demonstrated her dedication and leadership on the field. Her accolades include the prestigious American Legion Scholastic Excellence Medal and the Scholar Baller Award, affirming her commitment to both academics and sports. Beyond athletics, Melina has made a significant contributions to her school community. She is the founder and president of the VG Black Student Union, fostering inclusivity and representation. Additionally, she is an active member of the AP Club, Bring Change to Mind, Spartan Shout, and the National Honor Society. Her passion for sports journalism shines through her role as sports editor and her dedication as a cheer manager. In her personal pursuits, Melina is involved in the Gen Youth Club and serves as a math tutor, helping peers succeed academically. She balances her responsibilities with a job at Firehouse Subs and enjoys hobbies such as puzzles, coloring, and fitness. Her commitment to service extends to her participation in the Boys and Girls Club, where she supports younger students in their development. With aspirations to study political science and communications at the university, Melina aims to become a diplomat, eventually serving as a government official or ambassador. She plans to join the Air Force as an officer after college, where she hopes to attain a private pilot license and hold a strength conditioning coaching certificate. Her dreams include traveling the world, establishing nonprofit organizations, and above all, making a positive impact by bringing a smile to someone's face every day. Melina embodies a spirit of service, leadership, and academic excellence, making her an exemplary representative of Vista Grande High School and a deserving recipient of the Rotary Student of the Month honor. Congratulations.
We also have Mr. Staley here from the Rotary Club to recognize her.
Thank you. Thank you.
Are you
Take a
looking at
picture.
that?
Yep.
We just. Yeah. And then, do you want to scooch over?
Thanks.
Okay. Perfect. All right, here we go. 1, 2, 3.
Congratulations again. Nice to see you. That takes us to matters reserved for the board action. Mr. Lavender, ASBA policy revisions, first reading. Has everyone had a chance to review it? And if so, is there any questions or comments that we'd like to discuss about this? If not, I'll accept a motion.
Or all of 5?
Just for the first one.
Oh, the first one.
Yes.
So moved.
Yeah. We have a motion. Do we have a second? Second. We have a motion and a second. Mary, can you please call for the vote?
Yes.
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 Moving on to item B, intergovernmental agreement, special education services. Does any board member have any questions or discussion? If not, I'll entertain a motion.
Move to approve the agreement as presented.
Do I have-
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Mary, please call for the vote.
Yes.
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 2025, 2026 CGUHSD academic calendar. Has everybody had a chance to review it? If anybody have any questions, any comments on it?
So it just looks like we're going back to the 2 weeks for fall break.
Mr.
correct?
Lavender?
Yes, ma'am. 2 years ago, we had the 2-week fall break and then the Wednesday, Thursday, Friday of Thanksgiving week. This year, we have the 1-week fall break, which we have next week, and then the whole week off of Thanksgiving. There were a lot of concerns brought forward last year about this year's calendar. And so we asked our employees which calendar they prefer, the 2-week with the 5 days for Thanksgiving, or the 1 week and the 1 week for Thanksgiving. And it was 97-57 in favor of the 2 weeks.
Mr. Hawks, did you have?
Yes. Being that with the elementary school having Fridays off, I see on here our early days, early releases are on Wednesdays. It would be advantageous both to parents and younger kids if we change that to Fridays, because that way the children would have an older sibling helping to watch them. It might relieve a little bit of the strain on the parents on those days for finding setters and so forth. So that is a proposal that I would make for the public, for the kids, and for the parents.
Mr. Lavender?
So it's not something we considered. We are looking at having a committee in January start looking at the early release things and looking at a couple options there, but it's not an option that I would recommend at this time. We use Wednesdays afternoon for our PLC time. If we put it on Friday afternoons, that's obviously going to conflict with attendance, staff attendance as well as ball games and those type of things that we have on Friday. So it'd be my recommendation right now. That's not on the calendar. What is on the calendar is what days we're in school, the early release days. Although they're on the calendar, can be something that can be changed later after the committee looks at some other options we may bring forward as well.
Okay.
I also feel that if we're going to discuss some sort of a schedule change, maybe forming a committee with the elementary district so that we could try to be more aligned, like we've discussed in the past. I think before us making a decision on that, maybe they'll go back to 5 days a week. I mean, it's possible, right, Jerry? Probably not.
I would also like to say I've heard from quite a few people over the course of the last few weeks that are very much in favor in making the change. A number of teachers have contacted me. I've also been contacted by some parents, and they also would like to see that change.
So, and my understanding is this was voted on by the teachers, and they came out in favor of this proposal. And we're just talking about the calendar right now, not the early release.
Calendar and early release days, they are currently Wednesday. There's no change to that.
Now, you going back to your comments where we bring in this committee that takes a look at this, and they will have a chance to talk about the early release part of that. But we're talking about the weeks off for this, the schedule portion of this. So it's not talking
What
about
days
the
we're in
early
school.
release, just the days that we're in school. Okay, so
Makes
They
sense.
have the early releases on there. And I'd like to mention, I was in the board meetings with Mr. Staley and them when they went through all of this. A couple of years ago now it's been. And that was one of the major concerns of the parents of the small children, was they would either have to adjust their work schedules or, and you know, we've got to remember, we're here for the students.
Well,
And
yeah.
they would have to adjust their work schedules, and many students would be in a position to where they didn't have the proper supervision.
yeah, Mr. Hawks, we're not talking about that tonight. Very good points, but we're not talking about that portion tonight. We're just talking about the weeks off. That's the only thing we're talking about the agenda here. But to Mr. Lavender's point, if we're going to have a committee that has has the community involvement in there, the parents in there, the teachers that can voice their concerns about the early release, we can have that conversation. If I'm understanding that correct, we can have that part of the conversation about adjusting it, potentially adjusting it for next year when we convene that group. Is that correct?
And other options.
And other
that
options.
we want the committee to look at.
So, okay, so tonight we're just talking about the weeks off, but we're going to be having that opportunity to what Mrs. Harrington and Mr. Hawks is talking about. And I think the rest of us, we'd like to have an open conversation about that to see what makes the most sense, works for the students, of course, but also the staff and the teachers, because the PLC is very important to making sure that these students and these teachers are getting the professional development to help raise the level of the teaching that our students are getting. You know, so tonight we're just talking about the 2 weeks and what we're looking at for this agenda. Does that answer? Is everybody okay with that?
Right. And if I'm reading this correctly, it says proposed. That means we're just approving a proposal and that there could be changes after a final calendar is presented, correct?
Well, I think this is proposing for
This
this.
was the one that we sent out. So
Okay.
What we're asking tonight is for you to approve this calendar.
Okay.
And again, this is just the 2 weeks versus the 1 week. So,
And it gives our families the opportunity to know next year when our fall breaks are, because this is the time of year you start making vacation plans from a year from now. Plus, we've communicated with all 4 of our feeder districts, and so they know when the high school districts are going to have their break, so they can start creating and getting their calendars done for their fall, winter, and spring breaks.
Was the question ever asked to those that were opposed to this, why they were opposed to it?
What we were voting on was the 2 weeks versus the 1 week.
Mm-hmm.
That's what they were voting on. So no, we did not ask them why they were opposed. Because there was, do you want 2 week fall break or do you want 1 week fall break and then a week there? There were no other options.
If
Okay.
nothing else, I'll entertain a motion, please.
I move to approve the 25-26 calendar as presented.
Do I have a second?
I'll second.
We have a motion and a second. Mary, please call for the vote.
Mr. Hayes,
Yes?
No.
Mr. Wilkie,
Yes.
Mrs. Barrington.
Yes.
And Mr. Hawes.
No.
The FY 25 Proposition 301 Performance Pay Plan. Mr. Lavender.
Yes, sir. I've provided all of you a copy of the performance pay plan as part of the 301 funding that we received from the state, which is approximately, I believe, I put the number in there, $3.9 million. A component of that is some kind of system for pay for performance. And so we have developed a pay for performance system, and is listed in there. If an employee gets a satisfactory evaluation, they get a $1,000 bonus. Our district has also, in the last couple of years, offered the same $1,000 bonus to people that are staff that are not eligible for the Proposition 301. This is 301 money only goes to teachers that are in classrooms, serving classrooms. So like counselors, instructional coaches, they're not eligible for 301 money. We also, from that 3.9 million, $14,409 that is in their base comes from 301 funding.
Okay.
And again, the teachers voted on this, and by a vote of 142 to 11, they voted to support this plan.
Okay.
Okay.
Any questions or from the board?
I wish that we could do more. These teachers out here deserve more, I think.
Absolutely.
I don't know what our budget entirely entails, but if we could work more out in the future, that would be great. They're definitely working and deserving it with the things that I've been hearing about lately.
We all wish we could give teachers more money. They are paid among the lowest in the nation. And so we will continue to advocate through different propositions that are out there in 301 to get teachers more salaries. Our teachers should be making six-figure incomes.
Any other comments or questions? And I agree. Our teachers deserve a little bit more. We'll work on that next year with the next year's budget. With that, I'll entertain a motion, please.
To approve the plan as presented.
Second?
We have a motion and a second. Mary, please call for the vote.
Mr. Hayes,
Yes?
Yes.
Mr. Wilkie,
Yes.
Mrs. Barrington.
Yes.
Mr. Hawes.
Yes.
Okay. Staff retention stipend. Mr. Lavender.
So board members, remember back to this spring when we approved the salary benefits package for this year, the recommendation was a 3% salary increase. And then we would look at a retention stipend of a half to a full percent. And the trigger to go to the full 1% was the projected balance carryover at the end of this year, we're in the fiscal year 25 right now, of $5 million carry forward. Ms. Price shared with you recently our carryover going into this year is about $7.7 million. Based on our anticipated budget and what we projected to spend, we're projected to, we believe, to about have about a $6.5 million carryover at the end of the year, which meets the criteria for the trigger. So we're recommending the 1% performance or retention stipend to all staff that were employed on June 30th at the end of the last fiscal year. And it would be paid on October 25th.
I have a question about that.
Yes, ma'am.
Is the 1% just a one-time kind of bonus, or is it, okay? So it doesn't add to the budget?
Our concern, Mrs. Harrington, was, again, we didn't have a real clear financial picture last spring of where we were, because there was a lot of money that we were trying to figure out. As you know, there was a moving target on them, but we have a more clear picture. But at that time, we want the association had asked for 4%, and we got to the 4% by doing it this way. What it didn't do, remember our budget carryover at that time was about $8.5 million. We didn't want to go from 8 down below 5, because that $8 million would have went away pretty quickly. So we need to have an understanding, also with Mrs. Price being here and changing some of our financial procedures, having a better idea, and then also looking at ways that we could save some money in that as we're coming out of COVID and the ESSER funding and some of those fundings that we receive as well.
Anyone else? I just want to say this definitely is giving a little bit more to our staff, and it's much appreciated. We appreciate you very much, and this is just a little small thing that we're working on here, but allows us to do it in a fiscally responsible way too. So,
Question for Mr. Lavender. For other work fields, for other fields of study, the individuals who have received bachelors, how do they compare in the schools with the open market out there for, let's say, people in dentistry or engineering or something where they're got a degree of equal level?
Well, dentists have a higher degree.
Well, yeah.
And so they're going through medical school to get their degrees. Teaching, when you look at career and pay, teaching is some of the lowest paying professions for the education requirements of the job. And am I prepared to answer or to rank that right now? No. But you can go to what you're expected to be paid and things like that. You can. It's on the lower end, absolutely.
Well, I think that we've lost a lot of teachers because of that.
yeah. Well, and the reality is that with everything else they do, not just the teaching part of it, that really contributes to, the pay being on the lower side of things when it goes to the industry.
When you go to the state of Connecticut, the average student funding for a student in the state of Connecticut is $29,000. Our average funding for students is $6,000. That's a significant difference, and that's why teachers in Connecticut are well above that in those six-figure numbers that I talked about. Does it cost more to live in the state of Connecticut? Yes, but not significantly 5 times more, which is what students are receiving 5 times more in funding. And Arizona continues to lag at the bottom of the nation in funding per pupil. It's not at the bottom of the teachings. It's in the lower half of the nation. And that's why people look at the administrative costs versus teaching costs, the amount of money that goes in the classroom and things like that.
When you take the budget of what our budget is, $43 million, and you divide that by the students that we have in this school district, it comes out to considerably more than $6,000. $6,000 per student per year. How does that rectify itself with where our budget is at?
There are several sources of funding. For one of that 43 million, 7 million is the budget carryover from the previous year. So that's part of that $43 million in budget, is the 7 million. So now you're down to $36 million. We receive transportation funding, we receive food service funding, we receive capital funding, we receive all these different fundings. And then there are weights for students that have
Special
needs and things like that. There are EL students and different things. And so it's a very complicated formula that would take a good hour for us to really go through to show you how that $36 million is generated from the state.
Well, maybe what we can do is when we lead up to the next budget thing, we can have a full discussion and maybe a study session type thing where we all can be brought up to speed on that too.
Yeah, I'd like that simply because the amount of money that the school district has in their budget, certainly in my simple way of thinking, that if you're going to, because all of this benefits the student overall when everything is said and done, whether it be food or whether it be equipment, it's all for the benefit of the student themselves. If it wasn't for the student, we wouldn't have that budget. So I would like to know this intricacy and why it doesn't compute.
All right, so Mr. Lavender can make that happen for us.
We'd be happy to explain it all. Absolutely.
Okay.
Anyone else? If not, I'll entertain a motion.
I'll move to approve the staff retention stipend as presented.
Do I have a second?
I'll second.
We have a motion and a second. Mary, please call for the vote.
Mr. Hayes?
Yes.
Mr. Hunt?
Yes.
Mr. Wilkie?
Yes.
Mrs. Harrington?
Yes.
Mr. Hawes?
Yes.
All right, MOU Migrant Education Exchange of Student Records. Mr. Lavender.
Yes, sir. We are part of the East Valley Consortium for school districts and supporting migrant students. We currently have 73 migrant students in our school district. And the amount of funding that migrant students receive is pretty limited. And so by joining this consortium through the Queen Creek School District, we are able to hire an aide or assistant to support these 73 students and their families in our district and the elementary district. This is a shared position between the two school districts, but the position comes out of the Queen Creek School District they receive the funding and they're able to manage the funding and manage the supervisionist person and training and all that because they're supporting several through the consortium. And so the state gives them the money and then they divvy it out to the school districts based on the numbers and that. And so this is a memorandum of understanding allowing us to be able to share information with the Queen Creek School District to support these migrant students. Ms. Vogel is here. Did I do a good job?
Yeah.
Thank you. She obviously oversees the grant and working with the Queen Creek School District for us, and we're recommending approval of the memorandum of understanding.
Mr. Lavender, can you give us a definition of what migrant is in relationship to this bill or this, what we're going to vote on?
What is the definition of a migrant student?
In this situation, yeah.
So Ms. Ogle might be able to give the exact definition. It's a student that is transient, that moves from location to location through the school year based on working, the type of career working.
Yes, the migratory family has a qualified within 6 months of a calendar year, not necessarily a school year. Agriculture work within the United States.
Thank you.
So for example, my father-in-law used to go to school in Texas in the fall and Arizona in the spring because they would come out to Arizona in the spring to harvest the cotton. They would work the fields, different things in Texas in the fall.
Okay. Any other questions? All right, with that, I'll entertain a motion.
I move to approve the memorandum of understanding as presented.
Do I have a second?
I'll second.
We have a motion and a second. Mary, please call for the vote.
Mr. Hayes?
Yes.
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 Mr. Hawes?
Yes.
All right, PACE esports program. Mr. Lavender.
Yes, Mr. Wilkie. The AIA, which is the Arizona Athletic Association, is trying to appeal and provide more opportunities for students to be involved in opportunities. And we know gaming is a major growing sport in our country and that. And so the AIA is establishing a gaming esports program for students to compete each other in some of the gaming. And so you have a proposal there for tonight for PACE to be able to join the AIA and have their students compete in some of these activities. I know that in the spring of 2024, they participated in Python Gamers, and they have some opportunities coming aboard. And we see this as an exciting opportunity for PACE and for their students to get involved in some extracurricular activities and compete with other students across the state.
Okay, excellent. Any questions?
Yeah, I do have a question. Is this just something like that they would do at home, like after school's out, or is
No.
it integrated within school times, or how does that work?
It's after school times and they would travel to a location to compete.
Okay.
It is not, it's done in a central location
Mhm.
under the supervision of a coach, and the other team is there as well.
Okay, interesting.
So
What-
this costs approximately $1,800 to join the group, if I remember right. So what is it that we expect for the children to get out of this, education-wise?
The opportunity to compete and participate in healthy activities, the opportunity to interact, the opportunity to be involved in something, and not just go home and sit quietly at home.
And also keep in mind, because my sons are getting involved in esports and just the industry itself and subsidiary industries, we're talking hundreds of millions of dollars that are involved in the technology and things like that, and also potential career opportunities afterwards. So it's what for us may have been just video games has become a serious business. And so I'd be all for, especially with I think it would fit in with the PACE program and the goals there.
And I think that, some students are just looking for an additional reason to go to school. Let's just
Right.
face it. Okay. And so when they have this positive experience there, after school, it doesn't, interrupt their learning. It gives them a little bit more of a, I want to go to school today. I can only imagine. I didn't have it back in my day, but I do know that my sons love, one of them particularly loves gaming, but it's not just about the game itself. It's about the camaraderie. It's about the team working and team building. It's about, just that positive energy that they get going to school too. A little bit more of it can't hurt, helps them, probably do better, because I'm sure there's eligibility requirements that they maintain a certain GPA if it's like in every other sport. Am I correct in that
It's an
assumption?
AI sanctioned sport,
Yep.
so they would have the same eligibility requirements as our football players, our cheer squad, our band.
So that's a positive thing in itself to help encourage the students do better in school. So anything else? Otherwise, I'll entertain a motion.
I have questions about the educational value of this. I can understand the camaraderie, but on the other hand, they're not learning how to program, which is where the money would be at in playing the game itself. You got a bunch of kids or even adults that are on a computer playing a game, and they've got competition against somebody else. I understand that competition. But again, I think our school district should be more inclined to work with kids on teaching them the basics. And we have a hard time getting our kids to even deal with the basics as far as where they're at in our educational value. At least that's what we see from all the reports. So I don't understand how playing a computer game, of which I hear more complaints about kids on the computer and playing the games than I do any single thing out there. So I have a hard time grasping how this is going to be beneficial to our kids, both short-term and long-term. And I'm concerned that they are on the computer and playing these games much more than most parents want them to begin with. So now we're adding into that and giving them an opportunity to even be more involved in playing these computer games.
So can I respond? I can see the initial concern, Mr. Hunt, but I feel that this actually creates an avenue for the children that are going to be playing video games anyway. It's a team kind of collaboration. They have coach. It's something they can strive to. The kids at the traditional schools that play sports, that doesn't necessarily have academic, improvements to them. That's an after school activity. That's a club. That's what this is. It's not meant to necessarily, do that stuff. It's just more, this is creating that team environment, and it's done after school. So it's not going to be interfering with their academic learning. So,
It depends on if they have homework or not to do.
Well,
Right.
Because I see many, many times individuals that can't wait to get home to get on their computers and play games. And that has taken over our society a lot. Kids nowadays, there's a lot of recommendations coming out on the amount of time that kids spend on computers, especially the very young kids. Fortunately, these are high school kids, so I don't think that we have to worry as much. But I think there has to be concern that they're gonna, when they're in school, they're gonna be thinking about these games when they should be thinking about the subjects at hand.
Well, I know my daughter thinks about soccer when it's soccer season and she's at school. I mean, it's not any different. I mean, I do see the concern, but this is creating a more healthy environment for them to utilize what they're probably going to go do anyway. And if they have homework, then their families should designate, hey, you can't do this activity unless your homework's done. I mean,
Well-
it's just a balancing act.
And I-
Soccer
well,
don't need to argue
can-
with soccer and video games. It's a lot different. They're out getting exercise, they're outside in fresh air.
Mhm.
And it's a little bit different than being in a room with your screens, with your eyes buried in a computer screen.
Yeah, and I can see the definite concern here. I think a couple things here is one is that, if you're going to be on a team, you have to perform in school. So they can't just dismiss it. They have to be focused on their academics. The other thing is just like any other sports, it's the parents. It's engaging the parents, and the parents have got to go in there. And, if my son said, I want to go and join the gaming thing, there's going to be some limitations on that, but that's a parental, just working with them to find a happy medium there. So it is, each parent is going to have the right, of course, to say yes or no, you can join this team. So we do have that parental oversight and involvement with this. And so, yes, there are the detractors from this is more time spending on the games, but it is, I think there's enough positives here that I'm supportive of this at this point in time.
Something else to keep in mind is that also colleges and university are offering full ride scholarships for esports, just the same as any other athletic activity.
It's amazing.
So it's not just
An extracurricular club last month for Casa Grande Union. It's just not, they're just not going to the AIA level. And so it was approved last month as well.
That I'll entertain a motion unless there's anything else. Okay. Entertain a motion, please.
I'll move it.
We have a motion. Do we have a second?
I'll second.
We have a motion, a second. Mary, please call for the vote.
Yes.
No.
Yes.
Yes,
No.
I was the second.
Yeah.
Hayes was first.
Okay. Grad Solutions, Mr. Lavender.
So Grad Solutions is a private company and what they specialize in. Currently right now, if every student that is assigned currently to Casa Grande Union were to graduate this year, our graduation rate would be 88% because there are 12% of our senior class that has dropped out of school. And so what Grad Solutions does is they contact these students and offer them the opportunity to do an online program through Ingenuity and earn high school credit so they can graduate. And what it does is it provides the opportunity for students to graduate, and it also where these students are going to count against the district as a student that failed. These students are currently not going to school, are currently working, and so this would give them the opportunity to earn their high school degree. And so it's just a partnership and memorandum of understanding for us to share information with Grad Solutions. And so they can contact some of these students and offer them this opportunity to earn their high school diploma. And we recommend approval.
Do we have any information as to how successful this group has been in other school districts and how many school districts in Arizona they're working in right now?
I would argue if one student graduates that wasn't going to graduate this year, it was successful for that student. It's not costing this district any money.
I'm more interested in the reasons why they didn't graduate than anything else. The success rate of this company is important to me also, but what's more important, do we know the reason why these students have left school? Is there something that we're missing that percentage has left?
We don't have contact with these students anymore. They have dropped out of school and they're not choosing to come back. And so this offers them the opportunity to go back and get their high school diploma in a less traditional way. We know they have not been successful in the traditional school system.
Would this provide an opportunity for obtaining that information? where they outreach, and with the agreement that we have is they outreach, they
At the
really
end of
work
the
with
year,
the students.
at the end of the year, they can share with us how many students have gone through the program
And maybe,
and been successful and graduated.
and
Yes.
maybe they, but I mean, share what they, that information that Mr. Hunt was talking about is like maybe the whys. When they're talking about trying to get them through this, maybe part of the a survey at the end would be, asking the questions like, now you've gone through this journey, why did you drop off?
We can certainly ask them to
So
do
we could get that information.
Yeah, and the way I'm thinking about this is if we don't know why these students are not graduating, they've left the school district, we need to know that. I'll be frank with you, we can't improve if we don't know where we have to improve at. And if we don't want to know, then my question is what are we doing? Why are we doing that? I mean, I think it's absolutely critical that somehow, some way, we have that information so that we can improve our district, our teachers, our staff, in order to get these students, because our goal is to have 100% of all students graduate. So the 20% or 12% that's left behind, we have no clue as to why.
So this might give us an avenue to get that information.
Well, and I'm in favor of knowing that so we can make improvements and make changes.
So in the meantime, we don't do anything to help them until we do? That's what this sounds like.
Absolutely not.
I said, so in the meantime, we don't do anything to help them until we do know?
They haven't reached out
Right
to.
now, they're.
Right, I know.
Students that are no longer part of the system, and we're trying to recapture them.
Right.
And bring them back into the system.
Right. That's what I understood.
Yes.
So this is, do they walk with the regular students when they graduate?
They're not our students, sir. They belong to Grad Solutions, and they work with Grad Solutions.
So this is different than the GEDs that used to be.
Correct. This is Grad Solutions, which is an accredited school that works with Ingenuity to provide high school level classes to their students, and they become part of that system. The advantage to the school district is they are now part of a school system in which they can earn their degree. They're not part of our school system, but we're responsible for them on our dropout rate until they get into some kind of school system and work to gain their degrees.
So is it brick and mortar or all online?
It's mostly online, so.
Thank you.
All right. Any other questions, comments? All right. With that, I'll entertain a motion.
I move to approve the agreement.
Do I have a second?
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Mary, please call for the vote.
Mr. Hayes?
Yes.
Yes.
Mr. Wilkie?
Yes.
Mrs. Harrington?
Yes.
And Mr. Vaughn?
Yes.
Food Program Permanent Service Agreement. Mr. Lavender.
So this is being brought to you tonight because of the change in leadership in our finance department with Mrs. Price in working with the school food authorities. They work with us on compliance regulations, financial management, meal accountability, program integrity, training and certification, communication, reporting, and cultural competence and inclusivity. And all this does is put Mrs. Price down as our point of contact for our school district and establishes her there. Right now, currently, the person that's listed there is no longer a district employee.
Okay. Any questions? All right. I'll entertain a motion.
So moved.
Do I have a second?
I'll second.
We have a motion and a second. Mary, please call for the vote.
Mr. Hayes?
Yes.
Mr. Hunt?
Yes.
Mr. Wilkie?
Yes.
Mrs. Harrington?
Yes.
And Mr. Vaughn?
Yes.
Donations. Mr. Lavender.
Yes, sir. This month we've received some generous donations for our Vista Grande baseball team. Patricia and Daniel Anderson donated $100. Jay Warren Funeral Services $200, $125 from Kate and Joseph Montiel, and $500 from 520 Elite Hitters Club LLC. The Vista Grande volleyball team also received a $100 donation from Patricia and Daniel Anderson. The Casa Grande Union Automotive Club received a Simple Genius point of sale system valued at $9,000 from Dallas Giddens from Giddens Tire Pros, and approximately $500 to $1,000 in parts from Bob Curtis to be used to repair a 1999 Honda Accord to donate to a family in need. Casa Grande Union also received a $400 donation for Legacy Bricks from Toby Pass, and $500 from Rentless Performance LLC. We recommend you accept the donations with gratitude.
Well, again, the community is demonstrating its generosity. So thank you very much to all these organizations and individuals and to the community at whole. Any comments? Otherwise, I will
That's awesome.
definitely entertain a motion.
I move to approve the donations as presented.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Mary, please call for the vote.
Yes.
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 Again, thank you very much for the generosity. Do we have another student up here?
Yeah, why don't we do the consent agenda? And then we'll
Okay.
do-
We'll move now to the consent agenda. At this time of the matters 6A through H can be considered in one motion unless a board member would like to take anything off. Is there anyone who would like to do so?
Yes, I'd like to take off A, and I would like to take off G.
Okay. With that, the removal of A and G, do I have a motion to accept the others?
So moved.
We have a motion. Do we have a second?
I'll second.
We have a motion, a second. Mary, please call for the vote.
Yes.
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 Okay, moving into 6A, personnel. Mr. Hunt.
In dealing with the personal, there are several individuals that I'd like to have more information on. I have questions, in particular, Mr. Kushner. I believe that's how you pronounce his, huh?
Kashner.
Kashner, okay. I have questions about his resume. I'm looking at the volume of schools in the period of time he's been working in the school districts. Some of those have been a year or less, and a number of them have been just a few years. I question, did we or did somebody in the school district contact all of his workplaces and find out? And has he been asked why on some of these he was a short-termer?
Mr. Lavender?
We do proper reference checks. Did we contact all of all the way back to 1972, 75? Probably not, but we contacted the most recent things. Plus, he was the principal of the Coolidge School District, so we're well aware of his credentials. He comes highly recommended. I don't know. Was there a second part of that question?
Well, I've seen that we've had some challenges with some of the people that we've been hiring, and they haven't been up to what we believe they were to be to begin with. So I have some concerns in this situation because I see such in my opinion, when I see somebody only working for a school district for a year or 2 years, or even 3 years, I question what's going on. Because in the school system, I have watched this happen since I've been on the board and prior to this time, is that we have the tendency to not fire people because we don't want to spend the money that it will take in order to go through the court battle. And I understand that. But on the same token, when we don't terminate people for just cause, then they end up going to another school and they end up working for another school. And that same problem exists in that other school. And we have had that in our school itself. I've seen that happen now, several different instances where we've hired people that may have been qualified to do the job, but we find out later that after termination or after removing them or after we've asked them to resign, then we find out later that there's problems that we should have known had we done a thorough job of investigating these people. And that worries me because of what I've already seen.
Mr. Lavender?
So reference checks are confidential. I cannot go into reference checks with board members or certainly in a public setting like this. What I will tell you is John Kashner is a well-respected former football coach who had success coaching football at many levels. He is a former administrator and he was a former business owner for 20 years. He's been involved in the community and he has been gracious enough to come in this year and say, let me help you get through the year after a tragedy.
Is he working for us now?
He did start, yes, pending board approval. And so he understands if the board doesn't approve, then he won't show back up to work tomorrow.
The other person that I have some concerns about is Angelina Reyes. I see that in her resume, I don't see anything in that resume that would give me the comfort level that she has the ability to fulfill that position. Her resume is very short, 3 years, and nothing to do with that position that we want to put her in.
And so, again, Mr. Wilkie, I cannot comment on these things. If Mr. Hunt chooses to vote no, that's his prerogative to vote no, but I cannot comment on these things. And it is grossly unfair to her to have a public conversation
About
where
her.
people are hearing and questioning her resume. These are private documents that aren't even for public consumption. They are in the executive
Mr.
function
Lavender.
that's being brought out.
Mr. Lavender, do you have full faith in her?
Yes.
I'll take a motion. I'll entertain a motion at this time.
I'll make a motion to approve item A on the consent agenda.
Do I have a second?
Second.
I have a motion, a second. Mary, please call for the vote.
Mr. Hayes,
Yes.
Mr. Hunt,
No.
Mr. Wilkie.
Yes.
Mrs. Carrington.
Yes.
And Mr. Hawes.
Okay, that brings us to item
G.
G, 2425 revised student handbook. Mr. Hunt.
As I was going through this, I did not see where there were changes being sought. So I'd like to know what changes those are. And also, I have done a lot of research in this issue in relationship to hats, not only for students, but further than that. And my understanding of a decision that came down by the Supreme Court is that if my understanding is correct and the students have the ability to wear hats, of which they're wearing now, and that's never been something that we've enforced. My problem is if we have a rule and we don't enforce it, what is the value of the rule? The Supreme Court came down on a case called Tinker, and I've done some looking into that, and it appears to me that we are violating the children's First Amendment right. If we're doing that, we're opening up a door that I don't think we should open up.
Mr. Lavender, regarding the hats in general, is it just all hats or is it just specific hats that are not supposed to be worn on campus?
So if you
Or in
look
the
at
classroom.
page 3 of the student handbook that was presented to you, there's an asterisk that says Vista Grande only. And so
promoting the school.
expectation at Vista Grande High School is hats are not allowed on campus. It doesn't matter the type of hat, they're
Okay.
not allowed on campus. This is well within the prerogative of the school council to make this recommendation.
Okay, so it's not about the message or the type of hat, it's just, it needs to be a Vista
All
Grande
hats
hat.
are
Okay,
banned.
all right. Any,
So it's a recommendation, but it's not a steadfast rule?
At Vista Grande, all hats are banned. Yes, sir.
so it's a matter of enforcement that we just need to make sure that we're enforcing it and supporting our teachers that are enforcing it, that they, when they do enforce it, that the administration has their back and that this is, you're absolutely right. It needs to be enforced. We have a policy, we have a rule, it should be enforced.
Well, it's not only the hats, it's even comes down to the clothing. I have been told, now I haven't seen this myself, but I have been told by teachers and by other people that some of these students that are coming into our schools, their dressing, especially the ladies, is so provocative that the teachers do send them to the office and the office sends them back to class saying that it's perfectly fine. So I believe strongly in obeying the rules. And if we have a rule, we need to enforce it, and we need to back up our teachers. Now, if the teachers are coming to me and telling me these things, there's a reason they're doing that. And it's not being enforced. And that's what I'm being told.
These teachers need to communicate. They can communicate with the principal. They can communicate with me. We don't know who these situations are. I have asked both principals to have conversations with their leadership teams about the dress code and things like that. Am I going to sit here and tell you that the dress code is followed 100% every day? No, it's a challenge. It was a challenge when I was principal because society rules have changed and things like that. And so, and dress codes get adjusted to some of those things, but those are the dress codes, and the teachers have the authority to enforce the dress code.
And so the administration, the staff needs to support them. So, yes.
We do, but I also feel like our rights in this country are very, very, it's a thin line that we're walking right now, to where many rights are lost. And this has been true year after year after year. The government and everybody else is becoming more restricted. We've got to remember that these students have rights also. Now, I could understand if it's a private school where they have to request to join, but a public school, we need to ensure that they have the right that the Constitution gives them. And if we don't do that, then what are we teaching them in the long run? What are we teaching them about our Constitution and the rights that we're supposed to have? You know, we're saying, well, we could take away this, we could take away that. Well, it won't be long before everything's gone if we don't stand up and make some adjustments to these things.
So I guess I'm confused.
Yes.
I have one board member that's saying that our students are dressed like they're going out for clubbing. And so we have a dress set. And I have another board member saying now we're taking away their constitutional right to dress this way. Now you see the challenge that our board, our teachers, our administrators face every day in enforcing the dress code and common expectations. We have common expectations of our staff and how they dress. We have common expectations for our students and how they dress. You work for the city, you have common expectations for the city and how you dress. It's part of that. And so we do that to the best we can and to make sure that students are dressed appropriately.
And I think that's the difference here. We're not trying to trample on anybody's rights here. We're trying to remove distractions from the classroom. I mean, when you're dressing provocatively, that's not also preparing them to go out into the real world too. If they want to be professional, there's going to be certain expectations that each of those employers are going to have too, right? Everybody who's worked for somebody, there is a dress code. So we're not trying to step on anybody's rights related to their freedom of speech. It's a hat, it's clothes. It's just trying to bring it back so that we can focus on education. And that's what we're talking about here. So is that?
My main issue is making sure that we enforce the rules that we have. If we're not going to enforce them, then we should remove them because they are of no value. And what I'm getting from the teachers and other people, parents also, that have contacted me on this, is that the way that these girls are dressing, and I'm not just picking on the girls, but this is what was brought up to me, is that it is way too provocative. And that the teachers are sending them into the office and the office is sending them back and saying, this is okay. Now, if the teachers are saying they're provocative, they're doing that, I think, with good cause. And I'm concerned that we're not enforcing the policy. And I think we need to enforce that.
And I would agree. If it's a policy, we should be following that policy. Every one of us should be following that
We're
policy.
asking you to approve the dress code tonight that clearly states it.
With that, I'll entertain a motion.
I move to approve the student handbook as presented.
Do I have a second?
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Mary, please call for the vote.
Yes.
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 Okay, disposal of items,
No,
Mr.
That was
Lavender.
part of the
Oh,
consent agenda.
sorry, that was consent agenda.
Now we have the other student of the
So
month.
Okay.
Mr. Wilkie, we have Gunnar Barth here, who was our October Student of the Month for Rotary. Mr. Stavely is here, still here. Dr. Lineberry's here. So I recommend we bring Gunnar up before we go to the call of the public.
Absolutely, Mr. Gunner.
Good evening, Mr. President, board members, Superintendent Lavender, and public. I have the honor of presenting Gunnar Barth here tonight. He's a small guy, but Gunnar is the son of Christina and Benjamin Barth. His sister Ella is a student at ASU in computer engineering, and his brother Sawyer is a junior at Union. Plans on playing football at a high academic institution, studying neuroscience and biology, and then going to medical school to become a neurologist. You shouldn't aim so low, son. You gotta, that's fantastic. Gunnar is been the freshman student body president, played freshman football, biotech, lifeguard, honors classes, and a passion church leader, youth leader. Sophomore year, he's a varsity football player, member of student council, marketing, works at In-N-Out, so you know where to get a good snack there. Was taking honors in AP classes and was a youth leader at Passion Church. As a junior, he was a varsity football player, member of student council, member of National Honor Society, member of Link Crew, works at In-N-Out, honors in AP classes, and a Passion Church youth leader. This year, Gunnar is a senior. He's a varsity football player, a member of student council, a member of National Honor Society, and member of the Key Club, a lifeguard, honors and AP classes, and a Passion Church youth leader. Mr. Takar says that Gunnar is an amazing young man. Whether it's in a debate, in class discussions, sports, or an essay, he excels in everything he does, and he always has shown the utmost dedication in every area of academia. The thing that has impressed me most about Gunnar has been his amazing general knowledge and the way he can espouse wisdom into other students and, frankly, other teachers. I cherish our in-class debates last year, as well as his enthusiasm in the classroom. Gunnar always has a smile on his face and has an amazing attitude. He's extremely dedicated, and I will dearly miss him when he graduates. Mr. Craig says Gunnar is a great student in AP government and politics. He's well-versed in the news of politics and has an excellent memory for detail. As such, he is a leader in student-taught discussions in my class. Mr. Craig concludes it the same way Mr. Takar did with, I believe Gunnar has a bright future ahead of him. So, Gunnar, it is with great honor and pleasure that on behalf of the Rotary Club, the Rotary Club, we present you with Student of the Month.
Hold on just a second. There's something else that needs to be said about Gunnar. His mom, Christina, is here tonight, as well as his brother and sister. Gunnar came to me in 6th grade at Villago, and the phrase we had, "Grit does not quit," applies to this young man. And I think it was his 5th grade year. His father was taken from a tragedy in a motorcycle accident. And this kid and his brother and sister continued to excel. Christina continues to be a wonderful mom, and I know your dad is so proud
Amen.
of all three of you, and I want to publicly say it to you and how proud I am of each of you as well.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I don't even make the group.
You know, these kids are used to
He used to play for the Steelers. We need the help.
Congratulations.
Thank you. Gunnar, you gotta stand behind me somehow. Otherwise, I won't be seeing you right.
Okay, here we go, everybody. 1, 2, 3.
Great job.
All right. This takes us to our call to the public portion of the meeting. So pursuant to ARS 38-431-02.h, the board may make an open call to the public during a public meeting, subject to reasonable time, place, and manner restrictions to allow individuals to address the public body on any issue within the jurisdiction of the public body. All comments are limited to 3 minutes or less, and all speakers must adhere to appropriate conduct. The board president also reserves the right to limit the number of speakers on a particular topic whenever he or she deems such action to be necessary for the proper operation of the meeting. At the conclusion of an open call to the public, individual board members may respond to criticism made by those who have addressed the board, may ask staff to review a matter, or may ask that a matter be put on a future agenda. However, members of the board shall not discuss or take legal action on matters raised during an open call to the public unless the matters are properly noticed or for discussion and legal action. During an open call, the board requests that speakers refrain from voicing complaints against school personnel or any person connected with the district, as it may impact due process rights. Policy KEB, and KED are provided by the board for disposition of legitimate claims, including those involving individuals. So at this time, I will open the call to the public, and we will just kind of go in order of those received. Now, I do have 3 requests. All I will ask you is if there's a primary speaker to address the issue, if that would be possible, that would be appreciated, unless there's something else that has to be said that the representative doesn't say. So at this time, I'm guessing Sheen's, we have Arturo Laguna, Adriana Garcia, I think, and Sheena Sanders. So,
And I'll be speaking on behalf of the panelists. Thank you for the opportunity.
I'm sorry. There we go.
Board President, Mr. Welke, members of the board, Superintendent Lavender, thank you. And I appreciate the opportunity to stand before you and speak on behalf of these 2 families in regards to some concerns that we have. But first and foremost, it's great to be here in a day of celebration, recognition. It's encouraging to hear about the progress that the district is making in student achievement, attendance. Inspiring to hear the board and to see the board be so passionate about the education of our students. Unfortunately, I'm here to share some of our concerns. We've had, in the past 3 weeks, dealt with an issue that was outside of the school. This behavior that took place outside of the school, outside of school hours, outside of school activities, was dealt in a very arbitrary way, and the disciplinary action was out of proportion in regards to that behavior. We're not here to justify their behavior. We're not here to criticize the approach that certain people took from this particular school. We're here to share our concerns so you could hear it. You guys are in charge, and you guys are given the opportunity to serve the community, so you can protect the educational opportunities that each student receives, but also to protect the legal rights. So we have 3 concerns. First concern is communication of the lack of. Second concern is policy. And third concern is professional conduct. In regards to communication and policy, when this incident took place, students were brought in. They were not given due process. Parents were not contacted and communicated. Disciplinary actions were given to the students without communication with the parents. So the violated policy that is set in place to, again, protect the legal rights of students and parents. We have reached out to district office, and we have yet to receive the courtesy call saying, no, we cannot meet with you. Yes, we can meet with you. So we're here asking for an opportunity to meet with you so we could talk about these issues and make sure that this never happens again with this particular student or any other students, because they were treated way different
We're talking about female athlete honor roll students and regular students. We're talking about female athlete students versus male athlete students. So there's discrimination in regards of how these disciplinary actions were taken and assigned and given. And we need to really take a good look at the procedures and policies, student handbooks, the communication that is given to their parents so they could have an opportunity to address those behaviors. So we're asking for an opportunity to meet so we could discuss this.
Thank you, sir.
Thank
And I think staff can reach out and have those conversations with you. That would be my direction.
Thank you.
Next we have, going in order, Mr. Ralph Actu.
Thank you.
I'm sorry,
Okay.
my thing is not working here.
I get unlimited time.
Technical
No.
difficulties.
Again, Ralph Atchu. Across Arizona, the Republican Party has done a systemically poor job when it comes to public education.
Mr. Actu, I'm sorry, but please, this is within our jurisdiction. So just if you can pose your comments to the district level, local level, that would be much appreciated, okay?
I'm not allowed to talk about education in general
You
terms.
can talk about education. I'm sorry. I just heard you going down a road that we just want to be, this is a nonpartisan, so we just, please continue. Please continue.
Well, I used up some time.
No,
talking
we'll
to
give you the
Okay,
time back.
All
Sorry.
right. The majority in the state legislature has kept public school funding at the nation's rock bottom for decades. They've allowed privately owned charter schools to operate without any taxpayer oversight. When Arizona voters rejected ESA expansion by a nearly 2-to-1 margin, these lawmakers thumbed their noses and unethically pushed through a universal voucher expansion that now costs taxpayers $1 billion a year. We're picking up the tab for wealthy families, private schools, ski trips, dune buggies, and tuitions at elite out-of-state universities. The most recent study places Arizona's public education rating at dead last in the nation. We're also among leaders in classrooms without certified teachers and the poorest ratio of counselors per student body. Superintendent of Public Education Tom Horn has just been caught lying about how he nearly cost public schools millions in federal funding. He turned parents against each other by promoting lies about curriculum and setting up a vigilante hotline system aimed to intimidate teachers. He's consistently sought to weaken education opportunities for non-English speaking students and pushed for including racist and factually inaccurate lessons provided by far-right extremist organizations. Now, here in Pinal County, the Casa Grande Union High School Governing Board fired Anna Battle, a Black female superintendent, without cause. This travesty cost taxpayers over $300,000 in settlement costs, not to mention sending a very negative message to families of color. Now, this same board has 2 members who are displaying their partisan extremism at open public meetings.
Mr. Actu, please refrain from talking specifically about board members if you can. I appreciate that. Thank you.
Okay. Well, you're not allowing me to address what this board is doing.
Just be careful, please. I'm just trying to keep everything level here, but please continue.
Okay. Board members are wearing red hats with the MEGA logo, an organization that supports the type of white and Christian nationalist education agenda that's been tied to hate groups across America. These members have become so rude and disruptive that the meeting videos have had to be shut off, resulting in students and their families' denial of video recognition when their achievements are awarded. But these members don't really care about the students. Their only interests are their own egos, and that comes first. When it comes to public education, Arizona voters should reject neglect and extremism at the ballot box. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there any? Okay.
Yes, I would like.
Mr. Hawks?
I appreciate you coming. Every time I see you come in here to make a point, I know I'm moving the target. I'm here to take care of the students. You guys come in here all the time. And frankly, thank you.
Okay. Mr. Noel Reck.
Well, first, Mr. Chair, I want to ask that I be allowed to say what I'm going to say, because certainly much of what I am going to say is directed at some of the board members here. It's all factual. It's not anything I've made up. And can I have my
You can
entire
have,
time? I hope?
yes.
All right, with recent events, the pretense of nonpartisanship on this board dropped with the mega caps and the delivery of the election ballots this week. It's time to speak up. I'd like to add to Ralph Atchew's excellent analysis of education in Arizona. Several weeks ago, Mr. Hunt and Mr. Hawks spoke before the Pinal County Board of Supervisors, complaining that Ralph and I defamed them through our opposition to universal vouchers. Imagine the audacity to oppose public school board members who not only support but emphatically embrace non-accountable vouchers. They called it the height of ignorance to pull voucher money from students from poorly performing schools who are performing well at a private school. The reason they gave? That returns the students to overcrowded classrooms at their home schools. Well, thank you for pointing out just one of the factors creating the uneven playing field on which public schools are forced to compete: class size. Add in ratio to psychologists, counselors, and social workers, huge transportation costs, which private schools don't have to deal with, planning time, open admission, classified assistants, et cetera, et cetera. Tuition at Brophy Prep, where admission is selective, is middle of the road, $19,000 a year. The average class size, 14-1. Public schools would love to get $19,000 per student and thus a 14-1 ratio. How many lower to middle income families can afford to make up the after voucher tuition difference of $12,000, especially those with multiple children? The savings proponents tout is non-existent, as money given to students already enrolled in private schools, who make up 75% of all voucher recipients, is a total expenditure with no remainder money left for the district. The double whammy being valuable programs trimmed or cut from the state budget to accommodate the approaching $1 billion voucher cost. The Arizona Teachers Academy took a $14 million cut. $14 million in vouchers for the wealthy, or $14 million to address the teacher shortage. Months ago, I asked Mr. Hunt and Mr. Hawks to explain their votes on curriculum adoption. Arrogantly, they refused to answer. I'll pose other questions now. Feel free to arrogantly not answer again. The answers are obvious. Does it make education great to insult and threaten our teachers, saying schools are for education, not employment? To insult candidates Stacy and Keith Seaman online during a candidates forum, saying like dad, like daughter, bricks for brains, when she spoke against vouchers? To not realize your public words as a private citizen do reflect on the board, whether you like it or not? To not answer reasonable questions posed by the public? And to tunnel focus on prayer in school, book bans, vouchers, and the boogeyman of CRT, DEI, and wokeness? We'll have to wait 2 years for Mr. Hunt, but now voters must make the clear choice to re-elect Harrington and elect Wilkie and Jordan. Voters must absolutely not renew the inexcusable political appointment of Hawks, or you could both do the right thing now and resign. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, sir. Mr. Hunt, Mr. Hawks.
There are a couple remarks that I would like to make.
As to a recent Supreme, or not Supreme Court, but Circuit Court, the Ninth Circuit Court just made a ruling. You should take the moment and read that ruling. It may shock you, being the most liberal court in our land, and that's what they're known for. They just came down with a ruling that disputes everything that you said about the mega or make education great again or make America great again. You need to read that, because they are the law of the land until it goes to the Supreme Court itself. The next thing I would like to say is,
please keep it to his directly to his comments.
okay, I sincerely believe that we as parents have the right to put our students where we want to put them at. We as parents pay taxes. Those taxes go to support the school. We have the right with this program to put our taxes where we want them to put. You can yawn all you want, and you can be you can be rude all you want. It doesn't bother me. But the point is that we have a disagreement, and that disagreement comes to the issue of the schools. And I'm doing everything I can to make schools better in Casa Grande. I've done a lot already. It's, we have a difference of opinion, and that's what it boils down to.
Thank you, Mr. Hunt. Mr. Hawks, please target his comments.
Our country has the 100 best high schools listed. 10 of them are in Arizona. All of them are private. Why would we remove students from a better education? I see no reason for it. I'm sure that you guys, gave your speeches to each other and stood in front of the
Okay,
mirror and
let's
practiced.
just
Let
talk to
me-
the
let
point.
me finish. But you know what? You don't impress me. So we'll see you at the ballot box.
Okay. We have one more person who would like to. Bruce, shoot.
Mr. Chairman, Board, Bruce Shute. Apologize for coming in late. The email I got said 6:30 meeting, so sorry for the late hand in. Anyway, I was confused, frustrated, and messed up by the last board meeting and the issues that came up about hats. There's a proverb in scripture that says, a wise person, when they're criticized, will look at it, pick out what's true, and disregard the rest. And yet I didn't hear the picking out and disregarding. And my concern is, if indeed there is a lack of proficiency in our school, as board members, I would think that would be something you would look into. Either that is true or that is false. If it's true, then that's the purpose you have here. I cannot see my child being in a school system. Of course, they're 40-something right now, but in a school system that doesn't really push for 100% proficiency in every student. It appears to me that they pass students on. And if they're passing them on for what? To be incompetent in the years ahead in their adult life. My position would be look into it. What is missing? Why are parents taking kids and putting them into ESA systems? What's missing in the public school that should be addressed by this board? That's what wisdom is all about. You've been elected to look into and guarantee every student the right to be 100% proficient. And if that's not happening, to me, that should be a major concern of this board. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. All right, that completes the call to the public. And with that, we will stand adjourned. Thank you very much for coming.